Yeah, we gotta get XLR microphones.
We got to get XLR microphones. We have to disable every bad microphone on our computers. We have to kill the president of Nicaragua and different
Even
foreign power. Don't worry about it.
yeah. Nicaragua doesn't have a secret agent service.
No. And we have to watch the new Black Panther movie on Disney Plus.
Obama.
No, different Black Panther. Did you see Father Paul's tweet about the
No, I don't follow.
the Barack Obama travel plaza in in Ireland?
No, I did not see that.
There's a travel plaza named after
Ireland,
Barack Obama in Ireland.
That's fascinating.
It is a really funny thing. You
I've
just
just
wouldn't
been
expect
seeing
that.
I just have been seeing a lot of tweets about the inferiority of USB microphones,
Oh yeah, me too.
which I feel like first of all is targeted at me.
Targeted, first of all, don't like it. We've
First of
been
all,
using
targeted. Second of all,
rude.
yeah, rude. Third of all,
Third of all,
where are you? Oh, so you just want me to buy more stuff?
hey,
just want me to buy more stuff?
You know what USB stands for? Universal Serial Bus. You know what the Greek word for universal is? Catholic.
Ooh,
Universal Serial Bus microphones are more Catholic. Do you know what XLR stands for? Protestant LR mics. All right.
do you know what USB stands for? Unlimited spending budget. Actually, JK, that's not what it stands for. It stands for untimely
Death. Untimely Sandwich Boys.
Untimely Sandwich Boys. Welcome to the Untimely Sandwich Boys. Today we're going to review the local delicatessens.
Yeah.
Welcome to The Crunch, the only podcast not mired in controversy. It's your boy, Ethan.
And I'm going to start a controversy.
No!
What? Is that not what you wanted?
No.
I'm Patrick, by the way.
Hi, Patrick. Please.
Hey.
Well, hold on.
What?
If you were to start a controversy, I mean, no, there's no such thing as bad PR. So
no, that's not true.
There's no such thing as bad publicity.
Mm-hmm.
So what would be the publicity that you would generate vis-a-vis your controversy for our?
That's a good question.
Because I think there's a good line that you can ride between doing a sex crime, which
I don't want to do that.
Not good. Be great for me, great for the podcast I start after you. You know,
that's fair.
Once we officially cut ties and make
everyone your
YouTube
video in response to my controversy
will blow up.
It'll blow up. 100,000 views.
Yeah,
an hour,
that. So I need something short of that. Hopefully, pretty far short of that. But more than just like, I think the Latin Mass is better than the Novus Ordo.
Yeah, no,
you know what I mean?
Tired.
That's not a controversy.
Yeah,
it's the facts.
That's just true.
It's just the truth. I'm just kidding. Am I? Who knows?
We're just we like to have fun. We like to have fun. We like to joke.
Yeah.
We goof around. That's what we do.
We like.
I think if I was going to have a controversy,
yeah,
I mean, it would have to be like an ideological controversy.
Sure.
It would have to, but like we don't have an audience that would get mad at me for any of my opinions.
Yeah, an ideological controversy such as like,
I'm writing a book about gender, so
right.
Like that's
genitalia regalia.
Indeed, we've all heard of this book.
I'm gonna keep saying until you name it that. It's such a good.
Frustrated.
Title. No,
I hope no one from Pauline listens to our podcast.
While you're thinking of your controversy, can I say something that's freaking me out?
Sure.
Yesterday. I started a new job on Monday this week.
You did? I do. Yeah.
Hooray! Woohoo! Hooray!
Yay!
So
they called us during our video bonus podcast.
Yeah. How don't they know that this is my real job and that other job? No, it's good. It's a full-time gig, and I work 40 hours a week there. But they were asking me about my podcast.
Oh, really?
And there's a few non-Catholics that work at this organization. It's called Heroic Media, and basically they asked me about my podcast. And
dangerous.
And I said, "Well, it's a Catholic podcast." They're like, "Oh, interesting. What kind of?" It's like, "Oh, it's a Catholic comedy podcast." They're like, "Oh, that
Yeah.
is really interesting." And like I was in a team meeting and everybody was on Zoom, and I like said the name of our program, and I saw multiple people sort of like writing down the
Oh,
Crunch
no.
Catholic podcast
Oh, they're
combo breaker. The
yeah?
next day, I'm at a parish council meeting or whatever,
Uh-huh.
and someone asked me how Seek was because I missed the last meeting for Seek. I was like, "Oh, it's good. We podcasted all these things." And someone goes, "Oh, what's your podcast?" I was like, "Oh, it's called The Crunch." And they're like, "Who's your co-host?" This guy Patrick Beeman on Twitter. "Oh, what's your Twitter?" "Oh,
Oh,
it's
no.
Ethan underscore Crunch." And then I have like all these people from my parish that follow me now. And I was like, "I don't think you should follow me." And they're like,
I'm
"No,
trying to
no."
maintain duplicity here. I'm trying to live
So
a
now it's
double life.
like
You don't
it's
understand.
I'm in this position where all the people I actually don't even need you to generate a controversy because all the people from my work and my parish are just going to listen and read to everything I've done online
Yeah.
and they're going to kick me out. I'm nervous.
It's one thing that is one thing that I've like sorry, I have a hair in my mouth. This is the
Yeah, it's
problem
good.
with video podcasting is that you can see me pick a hair out of my mouth.
Yeah, I can't now pick both of my nostrils at the same time
I can't
like
podcast
I used
with
to.
both fingies
There's a-
knuckle deep up in
oh,
the up
oh
in the
man,
cavities,
I can
just
no longer scratch my frontal
going in
cortex.
opposite circles. Just
Yeah, just really clearing out those sinuses. Um,
I,
fixing
I
my
was listening to
pineal
this
gland.
podcast that someone said was like ours, and I said, but there is no podcast like Unto the Crunch. And
Indeed.
we were told that in a vision that there would be no podcast
No
like
podcasts like you.
there would be
Um,
but
it is not
they,
good
they
for Ethan and Pat to podcast alone, but I
they were
will it
doing this
anyway.
they were doing this bit and I was like, this is definitely a bit that Ethan would do. He was talking about blowing his nose in the shower and how you don't need tissues in the
No, you don't
shower.
need anything. You just go right in your hand and then you wipe it off.
No, he was talking about like throwing his back into it, just like no
Oh,
nothing. Just like he was like, yeah, suppose I pull something. And I was like, this is really funny.
that is
This is
funny.
really good. I
Yeah,
invited them on the crunch because I think it's there are a couple of guys who could goof off, you know?
that's good. I want goof off and
We
people
need
here.
that's my Russian alias, Patrick Goofoffen.
Goof off and why
You
are
know who
we?
I saw a video of today?
We're really just jumping around here.
Sorry,
Yeah, tell me what you saw a video of today.
Gary Kasparov.
Oh yeah, the chess man.
He sounds like Gru a little bit. Like
It
he
does.
talks like Gru.
I've heard him speak live in person once
Really?
at the Grand Old Opry in Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh, cool. Oh, or
Uh,
did you go there on like a school field trip?
I if by that you mean I competed in the Super Nationals chess tournament that year, then yes, I did go on a school field trip, Patrick.
Okay, yeah,
Don't
that was
demean
what
my
I
accomplishment.
was implying. I
Yeah.
didn't mean to say
Did you go on a
field trip.
little field trip to the national chess tournament? It's like not going to the aquarium.
I understood that you wouldn't be across the country for no like watching
Yeah,
Gary
I went
Kasparov
as a
play.
fourth
Yeah.
grader to observe the chess tournament.
Oh, okay.
No, no, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
I
okay.
competed. I competed.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Did
It
you
was a
do well?
competition. I did. That was my best year. It was actually not fourth grade. It was eighth grade when it was in Nashville,
Mhm.
and I did that year. I won 4.5 games out of 7, which was good enough to put me at like 60th in my division
Nice.
in the nation, which
Sweet.
is like K through 8 people ranked under like 1200 or something. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like best in the world by any
Yeah,
means, but it was like, okay, I did respectable. I won more games than I lost. So
that is good.
that felt, and especially since that was my fourth national tournament. I had been to 3, maybe
Mhm.
3 or 4 before that. Every other time I had gone 2 for 7. And
Oh,
so
bummer. Yeah.
it sucks. It sucks being a fourth grader and losing 5 games in a row.
Oh, yeah, that must hurt. That
It's
must
like
suck, dude.
over 3 days. You're just
Yeah.
like you just lose, and it's just I was
Are
so
these like hour games?
yeah. Some of them would go for 2 hours,
So yeah, because like I mean, it's an hour per person.
an hour per person. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So
that's crazy.
and then it's like at the end, I remember so vividly one year. I think it was when we were in Denver. We lost. I lost like the final game. It was like close it out 2 for 7. Like I should have won the game. They give you the little freaking participation medal. I remember getting back to like our table and I just threw it at the ground. And my mom was like, "You don't need to be mad." I'm like, "Then why the heck am I here?" Like, I was having an
Oh, that
existential
sucks.
crisis. It
Yeah.
was it was brutal, but it was fun.
I
I had a
lost a
good time.
chess game today. I had to resign to come to this podcast right here. Yeah.
No way.
I stood up from my chair and I did this. I
Yes.
shook the computer's hand.
Do you do, you do computer play?
No, 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 no.
Oh, you
I wouldn't have had to pause it if it was a
this was a
I could have
computer.
just walked away if it
Are
was a
you
computer.
playing what are your time controls? You playing 5-minute or 10-minute or
10
15?
minute.
10-minute? What's your
Yeah.
10-minute ranking? Ranking check.
Rank check,
Rank
8
check.
it's 800 something.
800? Oh,
It's
okay.
not high
Dang.
by any means. I can tell you.
I fell under 1,200 for a minute here because
That's fine.
I've been playing a
1200
bit
is like,
more. I'm making mistakes by playing, at night when I'm holding Peter, and
oh,
so
sure.
I'm just
Yeah.
like I'm up late, and I'm like, "Surely this is a good time to make nice strategic competition
Yeah,
victories."
not at all. Not
I'm
even close.
ranked 1152 right now, so I'm not doing too hot.
My Where am I at? Okay.
Where are you? What's going on?
I had to withdraw from this one, and that brought my rank down to, yeah, 822.
I lost to a
So,
guy in India the other day,
mhm.
and I, like, did my opening, I was white, and he, like, says the name of the opening in the chat. He's like, "Danish Gambit." I was like, "Thanks for letting me know." Like,
Thanks.
obviously, I know the name of
I
it too.
Yeah.
Like, I'm doing it.
At
And,
that level, I would expect you to know the name of the
right.
opening you're playing, yeah.
Yeah. And then at, like, one point, I, like, blunder a piece or something, and he's like, "Oh, got your knight." And I was like, "Why are you bragging? You're beating me." And he was like, "Man, I'm trying to win." And I'm like, "That's okay, but you don't have to make me feel bad in order for you to feel good." And he was like, "Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. I just lost a couple of games and I really want to win this one." I was like,
I get it,
it's
man.
okay, man. I
I get
understand."
it.
I was
I
like
had
having this existential conversation with this kid, and he's probably 12 years old in
Yeah,
Bangladesh. You know,
sure.
I don't know if that's a city in India. Please, nobody get mad at me.
Bangladesh is a country, you're fine.
What's the name? Is it Bangalore? Is that a city in India?
Okay, now we're going to territory I don't know about.
So you know about Bangladesh, but you don't know about Bangalore? Freaking uncultured.
Are these Pokemon evolutions of each other? I don't know.
Bangalore, officially Bengaluru, which sounds like the name of a Bengal on a child's program, is the capital and largest city of the Indian state of Karnataka. So
Oh,
yes,
wait, hold on.
What?
Wait.
What's up?
Yeah, Bangalore is a city in India. Yeah,
Okay,
don't worry, I remember.
cool. Thanks for checking for me.
You're welcome, I got it. I just
Yeah,
checked it in
you're
my brain. Just pulled
top
that out,
G,
that
top
file
G.
out, yeah, right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had a couple of, I've had to, steady myself and not, when I have, like, a really bad game, just be like, "Screw it,"
Just
and
so tilted.
resign, because
Yeah.
I had a couple of people do that where I was, like, really going, and they resigned on me, and I was like, "Come on, I wanna, like, checkmate, it feels good," you know?
Yeah.
For a while, I was, so I'll pull this up because my bullet ranking is
Oh.
better.
Oh, your bullet ranking. What's your bullet ranking?
My bullet ranking is better, because, where's my bullet? Yeah, my bullet ranking is 900.
Wow.
My
Bullet chess
my
is not real chess.
No,
It's
it's not, because it's like it
you're just
relies
trying
so,
to make the most time, like, use the most time or least amount of time possible and make the other
yeah,
person use the most time.
it's the a lot of it is because I when I got down to, the greatest comeback though. This is the thing. I got
Oh,
all the way down to 400 and I played my way back up, and I realized that I kept like losing down at the bottom because the problem was, um, at a certain point, people would just start running the clock. Like they
yeah.
would just run my clock or whatever, and so I figured out at the lower levels that
They
it
were
actually doesn't
running your
matter.
clock, so you decided to clean their clock.
It just like make as many moves as fast as possible because they can take your queen. It doesn't matter. They're not going to checkmate you because they can't find it because they're only ranked 400.
Right.
But once you get up to they
They're
like
they're
what?
legally a chimpanzee at that level.
It's a 400 level game. You're not going
Yeah.
to find they're not going
Rip
to
to
find
all the
checkmate.
400 ranked bullet players out there in our audience.
Sorry guys, but like once I figured out to like play the clock and not the board, I got back up to like 600, and that's when people actually started like playing moves that I recognized. And
Right.
so I could like, and I was like, I figured out a couple of checkmate patterns, and then I was like, great, easy. And I got back up
Nice.
to 900 because people would
Sure.
blunder pieces, and that's
Yes.
where I thrived.
So you do well when people do poorly.
Yeah. No, yeah, I'm better ranked when people don't have time to think.
Yeah.
What?
I
There's
think
a
it's
little bit of a
no,
quicker
I think it's
thinker.
funny that you say when people blunder pieces, I thrive. It's like going to like soccer matches, be like when the goalie doesn't save the goal from being scored, I do really
Oh
well.
no, this is not a brag. This is a self-own.
Yeah.
I'm owning myself on this podcast, being like, yeah, when I win when people blunder pieces. I don't win when they don't.
Give me a second. I need to refresh your feed here.
My cash?
Your say that one more time.
I could use some refreshing my cash.
My cash.
It's just how you
Uh,
kept saying it a couple weeks ago. You were like, I gotta refresh your cash. Hold
it's CHACHE.
Yeah.
Spelled it wrong like 3 times.
CACHE. Cash.
CACHE. Cash.
Yeah, that's how you say it.
Spell it one more time. So the other day we were
Yeah.
at my friend's house.
That
I
is
might
how
have
you
said this.
spell it, right?
It is, yeah. I was just
Okay, I
screwing
was
with
like,
you.
you were gaslighting me.
I was.
I was
We
like,
were at
hold
my
on.
friend's house the other day, and we were it was actually a really great hangout time. I
Sure,
might have
yeah,
told you this on the bonus podcast, but I
we
don't
like
remember on
hanging.
patreon.com/crunch. But we were at my friend's house and we were hanging out and we were having a couple drinks. I had a Mexican mule, which is like a Moscow mule, but with tequila.
Yeah.
Very
I
delicious.
feel like I hear they call it a burro. A burro. Yeah.
Uh I guess that's so funny to make that. I'll make you a Mexican mule and then hand it to someone and say, "Here's your ass." You know, I handed their ass to them.
Yes.
Um, so that's a funny joke that I could do later in real life. But but
Not
we
if
were,
all
we
your friends are listening to your podcast now.
yeah, none of them listen. But I was hanging out and we separated. The men went outside and the women were inside. I think because the women wanted to talk about something. I don't know what. Still to this day, I've not asked Emma what they talked about because I don't. I'm sure it was nothing important. And
Okay.
so we were all hanging out there, and we heard from the inside one of the ladies. We later confirmed that this was not true, but what it sounded like she exclaimed was, "I knew it!" And so, and it was this guy's wife. And so he looks to me and the other guy, Nolan, looks to me and Blake, and he says, "Is there something you guys haven't told me?" And Blake is the most earnest, honest, no guile in this man
Yeah.
whatsoever
Salt of
type
the
of
earth.
person. Salt of the
Yeah.
earth, pure.
Uh-huh.
He looks confused. He's like, "What?" And then I start smiling. And I look at Blake and I look at Nolan, and Nolan's looking at me like, What's going on? Someone pregnant? What's happening?" And I look back to Blake. I say, "Should we tell him?" And then and Blake's like, "What are we telling him?" Like he's freaking out. And Nolan's losing it because he's like, What's going on?" And then I had to break because I was like, there's nothing. I'm just messing
I
with
don't
you.
know
But
anything.
it's just
Should we tell them?
it's so
That's so
funny.
fun.
It
That's so
was
mean to do to someone.
I know, but it was such a
Say
good
this should man.
should we tell him? But
Should we tell
Emma was always mad at me because I generate these scenarios so quickly, and
them?
even like when we're home, like we were, it was just me and Emma and Peter, and something he was like coughing or something, and I was like, "Oh yeah, his glands are being overworked," because I don't know anything about the boy. I don't know anything about his
I was
biology.
I was saying this to Phoebe the other day because I
Yeah.
was trying to explain like I was listening to this podcast and someone said it's
Yes.
like ours.
Yeah.
And it's
Who?
somewhat
Who
like
said
ours.
this?
It's more tame. Someone on Twitter said it was like ours. It's tamer. It's not. It's like it's two dudes goofing. It reminded me more of Terminally Chill than our podcast.
They're
If that's a good frame of
Is our
reference.
podcast not tame? Are we
No, no,
unleashed?
no, 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 no,
Are
no,
we
no.
are we wet and wild?
I was trying to explain this because I was like, what is missing from their show?
Unleashed podcasting.
Star
Super
Wars.
Star Wars.
Do you have any more of those cups, or is it just the Star Wars one?
I only have this one.
Because we had like 4 or 5 of those growing up.
What, the Tervis mugs?
Sure, something like that. I don't know. Maybe they were selling them. We had like a Florida Gators one,
Yeah.
a
No, I
beach
only have the
one.
Star Wars one. I need to get a K-State one, but um, I've just grown so comfortable with the Star Wars one. I
I
haven't
mean,
seen a Star Wars film in years.
it's great because it can keep hot drinks hot and cold drinks cold without heating or cooling your hand. So
Much like a lightsaber.
So this is what I was telling Phoebe. I was like, the thing that is missing from their podcast,
Yeah,
it maybe
it's
not is missing. They
it's
probably
you and
don't
me.
want this. They're much more successful than we are, so nothing is missing.
Gosh darn
But
it.
I know. But um the thing that our podcast has is the Ethan effect, which is where you try to say the most ridiculous, borderline obscene thing you can think of in the moment. Not obscene, not bad, but you try to think of this outlandish. You're in your brain. I imagine, like there's a wheel turning. That's like, what is the most outlandish thing I could say that will move this conversation to something that no one was expecting. You know what I mean? Like you're a chaotic
Yeah.
factor in this
I
podcast.
I really wish that the effect that's named after me isn't something that's helpful to humanity and
It
not
is
some.
helpful to humanity. It helps humanity have goofs.
That's true.
It's
It's like
good.
the guy who invented the Coriolis effect, uh,
John
John
Coriolis.
Coriolis. He's known for something good and beneficial, and now everybody's like,
Corey was his middle name.
yes, Coriolis effect," and they say it very
Mm,
seriously. They don't know what it means. Nobody knows what it means.
yeah.
You say the Ethan effect, everyone's like, I don't know. It's not my style."
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, everybody gets cool things named after them. The Coriolis effect. Lou Gehrig's.
See, you have the Ethan effect too.
I was trying to think of a second thing, but I couldn't, so I just went
Yeah,
straight for
right.
Lou Gehrig's disease.
Lou Gehrig's disease.
Sorry.
Um, yeah, I feel bad for that guy back in the 13th century named Henry Bubonic. Just a real tragedy.
Yeah, tragedy that he got that. I think it was actually the rat's name was bubonic. The
Uh,
rat.
yeah, he instead of standing on someone's head and helping them cook, he stood on someone's head, and they died.
And they died.
They were
Do you know what I
murdered.
you know what I found out the other day? I found out
Tell me.
a historical myth about the Black Plague that blames the Catholic Church for the Black Plague. Did you know this?
I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised about it either, but do you know what
Yeah.
it is? I want you to guess
Okay.
what the myth is.
The myth
Yeah.
that the Catholic Church started the Black Plague. I
Mhm.
would I would say
Why is the
that
Catholic Church to blame for the Black Plague?
so they didn't it's not like they originated it, like some
Like they
monk
like a
cooked it up in a
Wuhan thing,
lab like
yeah.
Wuhan, yeah. I would say that it's probably similar to the accusations that people levy against Mother Teresa in that it was suffering as a part of the spiritual experience, and so to heal the suffering would be to take away the spirituality of the suffering, and the Catholic Church believes in suffering, and so they did not properly or adequately treat people who were affected by the illness, and therefore it spread much further than it would have otherwise if the Catholic Church had believed in the science. That's my guess.
Ah, no.
Dang it.
That is a good guess, but that
Thank
that
you.
that is just that's just a criticism about the medieval period in general.
What
That's not
that
like
they
a
didn't have
that they didn't have science. Like
they
that's
didn't have
part of
MRI machines?
that's part of like the mythos of the medieval times
The
in
Dark
general.
Ages.
The Dark Ages,
They were
yeah.
they the only reason they were dark is because at night everyone went to bed.
No, they're dark
Instead of
because we don't know
instead
much
of
about them.
instead of staying up and watching HBO Max.
Mhm.
Like
The
no one
Dark Ages are
no
not
one
the
on this
medieval
podcast.
period.
I don't know anything
Did
then.
you know that's the difference? I didn't know this until like a couple
When's
years
the
ago.
Dark Ages?
The
What,
Dark Ages are
10th
the period
century to
in between
13th
the fall of the
century?
Roman Empire to the High Middle Ages,
Okay.
because we don't have any records of them.
So what the hell are the Middle Ages if it's not what's the Middle Ages?
The Middle Ages is
Is that when
from
Frodo was knocking around?
so it's from 1100 to or yeah, it's from the 1100s to the rise of modernity in the 1500s is the Middle
Oh.
Ages.
So what's the medieval period?
That same thing.
Oh.
Medieval means middle,
Medieval,
meadow, yeah. Mhm. And then
middle, evil.
there's the low Middle Ages and there's the early Middle Ages, the high Middle Ages, and the low Middle Ages. The high
Yeah.
comes first. So then they kind of anyway, the
It's when
myth about
everybody
the
lived on a
Catholic Church and the
mountain, then
Black Plague.
everybody lived at sea level, and then
Yeah,
everybody yeah, I got it.
everyone moved to the Spanish lowlands. The myth about the Catholic Church and the Black Plague is
Tell
that
me.
the Catholic Church, because of witches, was suspicious of
Oh.
cats and
Oh,
killed all
they
of the
killed all the
cats.
cats. I have heard this.
The
Yeah, yeah,
cats
yeah.
didn't eat the mice, and the mice spread the Black Plague.
Mhm.
I prefer the one that blames the Ottoman Turks for bringing the rats over on boats. That's my preference.
I think is that a myth or is that a truth?
I don't know. It happened like 300,000 years ago. Who cares?
What about I read a book once about cholera,
Mhm.
and it's starting in London,
Sure.
and, it's because nobody washed their hands and, like, the poop just kind of sat under people's houses and under the streets,
Yeah.
and, it got into the water supply,
I
and,
have heard this.
so, this but the reason I bring that up is because the other day I took a temperaments test, and I
Mhm.
was speaking with one of the ladies that works at my company,
You
and
said you're choleric.
I said choleric, and then she said choleric, and I was like, "Oh, frick." Like, I felt so dumb and so young. I'm the youngest person at this company.
I've definitely said it the way you said it before.
I can't afford to have such churlish mistakes as to say choleric instead of choleric.
I think it's choleric.
This woman has been she's a leader in her industry for the last 34 years. You know,
Is
who am
she a
I to
leader
say?
in medieval temperaments and
That's true.
bloodletting?
I don't know. I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
Guess my percentages.
I
I'm choleric
feel
sanguine.
like you're a point. You're probably like a 0.276. I think. I'm just trying to maybe like 5% ER. I don't know. I'm guessing your baseball
Do you
stats.
do
That's what
my slugging percentage,
I'm. Yeah.
my OBS, my OBS.
Your
Hey,
OBS.
on base
It's on
sliding
base percentage, right? It's OBP.
OBP,
Yeah.
OBP. No, my so I'm 59%.
When you find a little oil in the ocean, OBP.
OBP. Wake me up, Texaco. All right, we're gonna
Okay.
moving on. I am 59% choleric,
Mhm.
41% sanguine. Do you
Oh.
believe that about me?
I don't know what those words mean.
You don't know about the 4
No, I don't
temperaments?
know about the 4 temperaments because I
I'm
feel
gonna
like it's
send
just
you
Myers-Briggs for dead people, is what I think.
That's really funny.
Thank you.
That's really good. No, I think you should take the temperaments test.
I think the way you figure out your temperament is just figure out how much
Get really
blood,
mad and see what
black
happens.
bile, yellow bile, and phlegm is in your
It's not
system.
it's not at all what you think it is.
But that is
I'm
what
sending you
they
this in
thought.
Discord, and I want you to take it. It'll be for our business. I need to know what your temperaments are so that we can do better business.
Are you gonna make me pay for it?
Better business no, it's a free test, betterbusinessbureau.com. It's actually not that. No, it's
Betterbusinessbureau.com.
not on the betterbusinessbureau.com. It's on,
Temperament test. Action
yes.
oriented,
Do
idea
not
oriented, people oriented, peace oriented.
don't take it right now.
This
But
looks
there
like
were
disc.
its disc is based on the temperaments.
Is it really?
I think
Yeah, no,
I
this is exact this is disc. This is just disc.
yes, but
Then I
there's
already know what I am.
okay, then you're being insufferable right now.
What?
I just want you to I sent you the link so that you would take it later, and then I wanna know which ones you are.
You sent me the link and you're mad that I clicked it and looked at it? Is that what's happening right now?
Yeah, I guess I'm the insufferable one.
You only insuffer because you made me suffer first. Just know that if you suffer, I've been suffered first.
Oh, man.
If you find me insufferable.
I just always I feel bad when it hurts my feelings. This is not a serious comment. It hurts my feelings when
Thank you for prefacing that.
yes, when I send you something and it's like,
Uh-huh.
this is something that Patrick doesn't know about. I'm gonna share it with him and, like, explain it to him, and you immediately categorize
Oh.
it as something you already know about and refuse to listen to me.
I relate it
So
to my previous experience.
or maybe you commandeer the conversation and make it about, your other thing.
Ethan, we should talk about this with our therapist,
We should get a
Father Anthony.
therapist.
We should.
That'd be so funny if at that moment Father Anthony walked in the door behind me and all
Just
of this was a
like that Big
ruse.
Bird meme, he just kicks the through. Um, no, but have you ever taken a disc assessment before?
Yeah, I'm high in driver.
What is your you're just a you're just a capital D?
Mm, mm. I'm high in D, and then I'm high in I, and then I'm very low in S and C.
Well,
Uh,
it's like, is it what I got was like
it's been a long
I'm
time
an
since I've taken this.
ID. So it's like I'm in the I
Mhm.
section, but I tend towards the D of the wheel, and I'm very far away from C and S. I'm just
Yes,
not
we're the same, except for that
yeah.
I'm D. I'm
Your primary
I'm
D.
primarily D.
Yeah.
Uh,
Your
I'm the s-
DI.
I'm the Sunny D. I've been taking supplements lately. Can I tell you something?
Sure.
I've been supping magnesium.
That's good. I don't simp, I sup.
I don't simp, I sup, and one of the effects that it has is
Anti
it
from Jove's nectar sup.
makes you a bit more regular.
Oh,
Uh, yeah, so that's been good.
that's been
That's
good.
been
You
it's been
get
really
do
good.
you don't have to go when you wipe anymore.
I used to go 3, 4 days without pooping, and now it's like every
What?
30 minutes.
One time I felt really bad when I did this, but I was
Yeah?
like, I think I was just coming out of crunch, and so I was in the like, I was in that Ethan effect mode where I was like
Ethan
saying a
effect. It's an
ridiculous thing.
area, it's an AoE spell that I cast over everyone around me.
I was like in that mood where I was like saying ridiculous things, and I
Yeah.
went into the bathroom and I came out like in like 2 minutes, and my wife was like, "Wow, that was really quick." I was like, "Yeah, I got rope burn. It came out so fast."
Yeah.
And she was like, "I don't like that. I don't like that you said
The
that." I think
one of
our
the
family
hardest
was over too.
the hardest thing in marriage is not waking up in the middle of the night to take care of the baby. It's not dividing
Or it's
household
fun. You get to see
chores,
a baby.
setting expectations. It's not money. It's not any of those things. It's transitioning from boy talk to girl talk.
Yeah.
That's the hardest. So many marriages would be saved if we could figure out how to make this transition more
Yes.
smoothly.
Boy talk to girl talk. This
Yes.
is true. This is fair.
Yeah.
We need. I've been thinking about this for the book. I'm about to
Oh,
hit chapter 6. I'm 5 chapters
you're
in.
crushing
I'm
it.
halfway done with the book. Right?
Yeah.
The book's due in August.
Yeah.
I'm so done.
How
It's
many
like it's
chapters are there going to be?
11 or so, and
Wow,
that's
you're
including the conclusion. What?
what about an epilogue?
So so chapter 1 is the introduction and chapter 11 is the conclusion. So they're probably going to be named introduction conclusion.
Are there any appendices? Is there going to be any
No, because
bonus
I got mine
content?
removed when I was in high school, so it feels disingenuous to put an appendix.
Yeah, you put a gallbladder at the end of the book, though.
There might be an index at the end,
An
and it's just a bunch of
index.
books you're not allowed to read. Um, but but I'm coming up on chapter 6.
Yeah.
And I just finished like the main part where it's like here's John Paul II, here's Edith Stein, here's all that stuff,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I'm about to enter into like the the part of the book that's like stuff that I've been reading and thinking about recently. So I'm trying to approach this with more like discernment because I
Yeah,
don't
you
want to
can't
come up with
just
the
drive into it and be like, "Yeah,
yeah
this is all fresh and new and it's cool, and so I'm gonna put it in the book."
yeah. So like, I
Yeah.
don't want to like go too far. But what I'm thinking about is like Ivan Illich wrote this book on gender where he talks about gendered domains. And so in this point in the book, I just got done talking about how
You're quoting
like
JP2, Edith Stein, and Ivan Illich in this book?
yeah, man.
Hell yeah, brother. I'm in. I'm buying it.
I was like, I
I've
started off the
decided to
chapter.
give you an endorsement for your book.
I started out the chapter with Ivan Illich is my favorite crazy person.
That's true.
But man, he's just so cool.
He is.
But he talks about like gendered spaces and how those things are important for like cultivating a
Mhm.
like for cultivating like what genders mean for
Does he
a
mean
society.
does he mean, like, when you're at a mall and you walk by a Justice and then you walk by a Lids? Like, that is that what he means?
Yes, that's exactly what he means. No, that's not what he means.
Oh, okay.
But the main issue in like so the this part of the book is like okay, so there's two different genders, but like it's kind of hard to explain. But like part of the book is like
Okay.
talking about how the conservative idea of gender is like men work, women do baby. This
Women.
is women cannot work, men cannot baby. And it's like no,
Mhm.
this is not
One of
this
those
is
is
yeah, right. It's like it's we these two things are supposed to happen in tandem because God tells mankind to fill the earth and till it, and very clearly Eve is better suited to filling the
fill
earth,
it.
but Adam has a role, and then Adam is more
When Eve's a
suited to
fillin', I'm out there a tillin'.
tilling. But like they have to help each other because
Yes.
like man has a secondary role in filling the earth, all that stuff.
Yes.
You've heard me talk about this before.
Probably.
Um, I was too busy knuckle deep in my
Sometimes
own
I just
nose.
zone out because
I'm like tickling my brain through my
if you
nose.
hit the frontal lobe too hard, then you black out for a second. So, anytime I'm not paying attention
um,
on the podcast, that's the reason.
that's why. But this part of the book is like okay, so there are differences between men and women. So like, how do we build a world where given that there are gender differences, but the way that they're existing now is like very unequal, where it's like
Mhm.
women don't have access to spaces that are dominated by men, and it seems to be like men get all the good ones. It's like, okay, we've split up, like, I mean, you see like, okay, medicine, right? I talked about this earlier in the book, how like in the Industrial Revolution
Mm.
split uh, women and men, the work inside the home from the work outside the home. And the way that masculinity was defined is men do the work that makes other people money, women do the work that doesn't make other people money. And this is like
Mm.
transitioned into corporate America, where
Right.
men are doctors and in sales and lawyers, and women are paralegals and typists and nurses. Like, they're not making money, they're
Mhm.
supporting the people that do. And so
Generally.
like these can
There are
these
obviously
generally, right?
exceptions.
Yes, and this is like this is a problem. This is the point of the book, is like, this is a problem
Yeah, this is not good.
because it's not good, because it's like it's a bad way to look at a gendered world. Women should have domains where they have exclusive access to this domain, and it is an exercise of their femininity, and it's a powerful thing, and it's something that men don't have. Like, it's a space that men don't have access to, and men need to have spaces that women don't have access to. And Ivan Illich talks about this. He calls them domains. And he talks about how marriage is the place where those two domains meet.
Ah.
But we're trying to make that happen outside of marriage, where the domains
Oh,
meet outside of marriage.
yes.
And that doesn't make sense,
No, then
you
you
know?
have work wives, and then they become second wives, and
Yeah.
that's not good or healthy.
So, anyway, what I'm saying is, yes, Ivan Illich agrees with you. There needs to be a transition between boy talk and wife talk.
Yeah, I basically know as much as him.
His books are so skinny, so I mean, it's not much in
Yeah,
there.
but they really pack a punch.
They really do.
I wanna we've been going here for about 35 minutes,
Okay.
approximately, on the
Yeah,
podcast.
sure.
Before we go into our dating segment
Yes.
in probably 10 to 15 minutes, I
Just
wanna
so
address
everyone is abreast of the schedule of today's class.
we need to have a gavel so that we can clang it
Did
when we
everyone
move
get the
on.
programs that I mailed out?
Every week on thecrunchcast.com, I post the podcast schedule, and if you're not seeing it, that's your own fault.
That's your own darn fault.
I've also updated the website recently, and it looks sick right now, so you should go look at it. Updated the branding.
That's good. Glad.
Um, well, okay, so there's lots of things I wanna talk to you about. Some of them are more apt for a business meeting between you and I. I have
Mm.
this idea where you make all of the content for our social media channels.
Yeah.
I have this really cool idea where you do all of the work for me. And then I have this other idea,
Does
this
that
other
include
thought.
your Twitter account?
No, 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 no,
Okay, I was gonna say.
no, no.
I
It
would
might
run that thing
it
into the
may say
ground.
crunch in the handle, but that stuff's proprietary, baby. That's all me. Um, plus, I don't know if you want Rodney Dangerfeld in the crunch lexicon of tweets. But I wanted to talk about other myths surrounding the Catholic Church.
Oh,
Is that okay?
yeah,
Maybe not myths, but there's been a lot swirling lately, and I thought it would be good to talk about it.
sure.
Not in a terribly serious way, but
No,
in
of
just
course
like
not.
a this is interesting. So
I think
Benedict's
we deserved Mexico.
what Mexico
Nothing.
City?
I was did you see the new Black Panther movie?
There's new myths that are coming out that I don't even know about. No, I don't know about. I did not see the new Black Panther movie. Is that am
Can
I
I
allowed?
can I
No,
spoil a character that's in it?
you can spoil anything you want about Black
Okay.
Panda 2 Black
Kung Fu Panther.
It's the wrong continent. Wrong continent. Black
Namor,
Panther 2 Wakanda Forever. Please spoil the whole plot.
the villain
Go.
is Namor is the villain in the
Namor.
movie. Namor, the
That soccer player?
Submariner. I don't know who that is,
That's
but
Neymar. That's a different
name
guy.
okay.
Sorry. Namor?
Yeah, Namor the Submariner is the main villain in Black Panther. It's kind
This
of
is a
unfair
guy
that
who's on a submarine?
he's no, it's like Aquaman.
He's Aquaman. Okay.
He's Aquaman.
He's Aquaman. Cool.
And apparently he was like a really big deal in the 1940s. Like, the original comics was like, what
Mhm.
if guy underwater? And everyone in the 1940s was like,
Scooey. Well, that's because there were actual underwater
submarines
threats.
underwater. Yeah.
Yeah, so that kind of makes sense.
That's so
Now
funny.
it all happens in the web, in the
Yeah.
internet. Nobody's launching nukes.
How is cyber warfare real? Just turn off your computer
Just
and
turn
try
off the computer.
it.
That's funny. Yeah.
Thanks. I tweeted that
Just
once. It didn't do very well, but I was like, "This
no,
is really funny. Come
I'm
on."
gonna tweet it right now. Yeah,
Anyway, so his I don't know how much of his backstory. This is definitely not original to the character because
sure.
they would not have done this backstory in 1940. But he's an Aztec. So the story was like he's the son of an Aztec woman from the 1500s. And when the conquistadors were coming in,
Mhm.
they were slaughtering the Aztecs. Very
Yes.
bad, very bad.
Eh,
And
the
and
Aztecs were slaughtering their women and
children,
children.
children. And then I
So,
realized why Americans are so pro Aztec. And
yeah.
I was like, never mind.
Oh,
I
yeah, that makes
understand.
sense. This tracks. This is a through line.
This is a, there's it's a good there's a connection here.
Yeah.
But there's that's the point was like it's like we were trying to save ourselves, and so we prayed to our God and he gave us this herb that helped us breathe underwater, and then I was born. And like
Dang,
that's the
I gotta get
backstory.
some of that weed,
I know.
bro.
But that's like they're trying to do like a similar Black Panther thing where it's like a commentary on imperialism and the effects
Mhm.
of imperialism and how
Yes.
uh, the 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 Aztec people and the Wakandan people should be allies because they're both fighting against the big imperial. They're fighting each other instead, and this is
Ah,
bad. Why are they
yes.
fighting each other?
Yes.
This is the commentary. I'm fine with social commentary. I don't care. But anyway, this is the original myth about the Catholic Church. It's called the Black Legend. Have you heard
A
of
lot of
this?
a lot of black situations with the Catholic Church these days.
Indeed, the
Priests
Black
are wearing it.
Plague, the Black Panda, the Black.
And, dude, I'm
But
never gonna live that down.
the Black Legend and there's the corresponding White Legend, and this is. Have you ever
I
heard of
I
this
I
before?
feel like I feel like I'm in the first 5 minutes of a kung fu film right now.
That's fair. This is
I
very
feel
like
like I'm just getting a bunch
expository.
of
Yeah.
exposition. Okay, tell me
So
about the black legend and
the
the white
black
legend,
legend is
grandpa.
the black legend is the Spanish government was the Spanish Empire was awful and it killed all the natives and it was
Mhm.
very evil and all this stuff.
Sir Francis Drake.
Yeah, and it was spread by the Protestant English
Sure.
because Spanish is a Catholic country. And then there's
Yeah.
the corresponding white legend where it's like, actually, the conquistadors were awesome and they didn't do anything wrong. And burning the ships was actually really cool. And they were really nice to the Aztecs. The Aztecs were mean. They were big old meanies and all this stuff. So it's
Yeah.
the white legend and the black legend. The reality is likely
Gray.
yeah, it's like oh, the pagans are probably going to be bad guys, and the military leader who's trying to find gold is probably not doesn't have the best intentions.
Yeah.
And the priest that came along with him might have been a little motivated by the gold thing, or he might have been desperately trying to stop bloodshed. Right? There's all that stuff. So that's like the original anti-Catholic myth in the West.
Wow.
Yeah, is that the Protestant English were like, "Wow, they're really mean to the natives."
Hmm.
Ironic, right?
Yeah, right. That's interesting.
Oh, and they mixed up the they brought up smallpox in the movie too. They were like the conquistadors brought smallpox. They like heavily implied that they did the smallpox blanket thing,
Well,
and I was like,
Thomas
"No, no, no.
Jefferson
You're
invented
not pinning
smallpox.
us on you're not pinning that on us.
No.
I'm not Spanish, but I'm Catholic.
That
You're
was
not
the
pinning that on the Catholics."
that was the deist founding fathers
Yeah,
that
that was
brought
the
smallpox to
Quakers.
America.
All
That was
right?
the
The
Quakers.
Friends.
Yeah.
They were the ones who did. I don't know if they did that. I don't know who did
So I don't know about any of that, but what I was reading about this week.
that.
So Benedict dies,
Yeah,
and
man.
people lied, uh, and
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. So there's
Uh-huh.
a lot of stuff out there. I've been reading a lot of stuff.
A lot of the Hitler stuff, the Hitler
No,
Youth stuff about Benedict?
no. That's fine.
Oh, okay.
Everybody was drafted into Hitler Youth if you were of a certain age at that time in Germany. So it
Men
doesn't
of a certain age were drafted into
of a certain quality.
a certain age is 14.
Yes. Um, so I don't care about that. I think it's the book that he published posthumously,
Mm,
and it was in Italian, and everybody was like, "Oh, it's this. I speak Italian, and this is what it says."
mhm.
And apparently, allegedly, in theory, there's he kind of names like the sort of sex stuff that everyone kind of. Sorry, did you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Have you seen any of this? I think he talks about how there's like
No.
a culture of rampant sexuality in like certain seminaries and that type of thing. He doesn't
Oh, sure.
specifically
Okay, yeah.
name the Lavender Mafia or anything like that,
Mhm. Mhm.
which is an allegedly existing group of people in the Roman Curia that are all sympathetic to the LGBTQ plight. Um,
Mhm.
in
Because they
more
are, in fact,
because
themselves boinking, yeah.
Yeah, because they are gay. And so he didn't name them, but he kind of talked about how it's like a big problem and all these things. So everyone's like, oh, this is because he knew all this stuff. He's like pressured to step down, and because this, and this. And
Sure.
everybody's like throwing things around about like why Benedict was asked to step down is because he was pressured by. Then it went one step deeper because I started doing some more reading. I started doing some more digging. You go a
Yeah,
little
I
bit
think
deeper.
the guy who, stood up to the Nazis was pressured by the gays to leave the papacy. Hitler couldn't
uh,
get him, but
no,
Milo
Hitler,
Yiannopoulos, he had a or whoever, I don't know who's the first gay guy I thought of.
Oh, man, that's really
Sure,
funny.
mhm, yeah,
Yep.
that makes sense.
Yeah, Hitler couldn't get
I don't
him.
think you can pressure anybody who was an Orthodox Catholic
Yeah,
in Europe in the 20th century to do anything.
yeah, there were a bunch of really tidy cardinals that scared him out of the Vatican.
Yeah.
It's like, "Oh, no." So I did some more digging, and
Ostensibly the most powerful man in the world.
there's so I think the Lavender Mafia thing is easy to focus on because it's, like, scandalous, the Lavender Mafia, whatever. It's easy to point fingers at, like, a group of allegedly gay cardinals and be like,
Mhm.
"Look at this," like, that's easy to point at and go, "Look at
Sure.
that," and that's why Benedict resigned. But there's people that say that, he was pressured by American intelligence that is covertly in place inside the Vatican, and I was like, "Okay, that's a bit more interesting."
That is more interesting. That's the
That's
subject of a book.
I know, that's the subject of a book, and so I read the book. We don't have time to get through the whole thing,
You
but,
read the book?
I didn't read the whole thing. I read the first couple chapters, but I've got a lot going on, all right? I only have it on my phone as a PDF. It's hard to see at night.
How was the newest episode of The Last of Us?
It was great. It was great.
Okay.
Yeah, there was also speaking of the Lavender Mafia, a couple of gay guys in that one. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, people were saying that it
Sounds
made
like The
them.
Last of Us are gonna be The Last of Us. They keep
Yeah, it
doing
was like
that.
uh,
They're not procreating at all, it
I
doesn't
know
seem.
it's two gay gentlemen who hole up in a. Sorry, I'm gonna use a different word.
Sorry.
Two gay gentlemen who. Oh man, I didn't even. I was not on purpose. Oh gosh. It's two gay gentlemen who find refuge in a small town after everyone has
Mhm.
left, and they
Yeah.
survive. But the whole time I'm asking, it's like a love story and it's romantic, and they commit suicide together. And it's like, oh,
Oh
look at this.
gosh.
This made me cry.
They
Um,
Romeo and Steve it.
yeah, they
It's Romeo and Juliet, not
Romeo and
Romeo and Steve.
Juilliard, maybe.
Sure.
Julian, Romeo and Julian,
There it is.
maybe
That's
is
good.
better. Um,
Rewind that back. Hold on, let me do it again.
yep,
Oh, they Romeo and more like Romeo and Julian. All right.
nice.
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. I'm not going to edit that. It's too much work.
I know.
Da
It's
Vinci Da
funnier if you
Vinci
don't.
Resolve is an unwieldy enemy of mine.
It's a demanding mistress.
It truly, which these guys did not have. But it was just interesting that it was like everyone's like, "Oh, this is so romantic," and these guys died, and because one developed Parkinson's, and they survived for 20 years in the middle of
Yet
this
another guy.
apocalypse, and and
Him and Bubonic.
it's just like why would you like the whole point of living. Like, I just don't understand the whole point of, like, surviving, if it's just
Mhm.
gonna be it's you 2,
Yeah.
Um, and I understand that if they don't wanna procreate, whatever, and I
Mhm.
understand the base human need for survival, but it was just and then the suicide at the end, I was like, "Oh, this really all was just for you," Like,
Yeah. Very.
you were super reluctant to help anybody else, you didn't help anybody else, you had this whole town that was a safe place, that you had
Just
electric
for you.
fences and all these things, and it was just for
Yeah.
you, and I don't know, it just it did not seem very, I don't know, I was not impressed with it.
What
And
passes for romance.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it was different from the game because in the game, the one guy just commits suicide because he doesn't wanna live anymore, and the other guy is just grumpy and living in this town by himself. Um,
Oh, I see.
anyway, beyond this, so I read the first couple chapters of this book, and it starts to put the pieces together. I haven't completely finished it, but it seems like that there is a reason to believe that the NSA or the CIA or whoever has its fingies in the Vatican. And the reason being, and I think this is very interesting, just an insight into the psyche of the church,
Mhm.
especially at the levels of leadership. So coming out of World War II, um, obviously Rome, Italy, Mussolini, Axis powers, tough time to be Catholic, tough time to be living in Rome, tough time to be living in the Vatican City
Yeah.
State. You kind of have to like survive and make alliances where you can, and not get the Vatican totally sacked and taken over, because who knew what was going to happen, right?
Mhm.
So the war ends, the Nazis are defeated, but the big thing is the communists. Everybody's now scared of the communists because America, other side of the ocean, Russia, right over here,
Yep.
and in terms of like the communist versus Nazi thing that comes up a lot, the Nazis were not as explicitly like atheistic as the communists were, and so
Yeah.
at the time, because they didn't, nobody really knew the full extent of like the whole concentration camps and all that stuff right away. There was a lot of welcomeness and like openness to working with former Nazis to fight against communists, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And so a lot of former Nazis were recruited and then hired by the CIA essentially to be like to be the stay back forces to
Isn't that
fight.
what Paperclip was? Operation Paperclip?
I think it's something like that. I don't.
Yeah.
Paperclip might have been a different thing, but it was, they like stayed back to like fight the communists from taking over Western Europe, basically.
Mhm.
So the problem is that's like an act of war, and like if you're Congress, like you have to like declare war on someone in order to like fund a war. But the CIA was like, we have to do this in order to like prevent the spread of communism, which is the biggest threat to American hegemony after America comes out on top after World War II. So what do? We should start a secret government organization that it can fund anything it wants whenever. So this is how the CIA is founded, basically. So they start this and they're doing these things, and they need money. They need money to fund the operation.
Mhm.
And so they're like, what are the ways that we've seen governments raise money for military operations? And this one guy was like, oh, yeah, when I was in China, they sold heroin. And so American government's like, that seems pretty lucrative.
Yeah.
We could probably do that. And so they start getting heroin from Italian pharmaceutical companies. They use their connections from the American mobsters, so like Italian American mobsters. They ship them back over to Sicily. They're like, hey, lean on all these pharmaceutical companies, and like you're going to be our go between to get heroin to the United States. They also start up an operation in Burma and all these things, and they start
And
shipping.
Bangalore. And
We're not going to get into that. We don't know. We don't know where Bangalore is. We don't
we
know
don't
what
know where it
Bangalore
is.
is.
We don't know where the heroin's coming from. Where are the drugs going?
But they start shipping it to none other than Harlem in New York, and they get just a bunch of black people addicted to heroin, basically. And the CIA is like fine with it because who's going to notice? Who's going to care? Totally gross and awful. But they
Yes.
start making a ton of money from selling heroin.
Mhm.
And it's like, it's crazy, the statistics where like
Was this during the war on drugs?
the war on drugs didn't start until the 80s or something, right? I don't know.
Yeah, sure. I just didn't know how far in the future this was.
I think this is why the war on drugs had to start. Is
I
because
see.
the like number of heroin addicts before this operation started was like less than 10,000.
Mm.
And then a couple years after it, it was over 100,000 in the United States. Like just a ton of people got addicted to heroin. And so they opiates, and they had to like convince the mobsters like, hey, we really need you to do this. And the mobsters were like, we don't really deal in opiates. And the CIA was like, yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
so they do this, and the problem is like, okay, we've got this dirty money, we need a place for it to go in and come out clean, but this
Oh,
is
no.
hundreds of millions of dollars.
Oh, no.
I don't know if you know, but in Italy, in Rome, in the Vatican, there's this little place called the Institute for the Works of Religion, or religious works, however it's
Yeah.
translated. The IOR, commonly known as the Vatican Bank, it's actually a Vatican bank, but it's a totally independent, single state, no oversight by any organization other than the Vatican itself.
Yeah.
And so what you do is the
It's the
CIA,
treasury of a sovereign power. Yeah,
the
it's
treasury
not.
is a sovereign power, so
Yeah,
you can do anything.
that accepts donations.
exactly, and it doesn't have to
Yeah.
publish any reports
Mhm.
about what it does at all. And so, CIA goes to Pope Pius XII. Pope Pius XII reasonably concerned about the influx of communism, coming
Mhm.
into Italy. So he's like, whatever I can do to help. And then all of a sudden, the CIA and the Vatican are working together to sell heroin to Black Americans to fund overseas secret service operations, basically.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. so, so, so it's like it's not good. And I haven't gotten further in the book. I'm sure like as it goes on, it details all of the things that happen.
This is in Pope Benedict's book?
This is not no, this is in a different book that I read.
I was gonna
So
say,
Pope,
Pope Benedict's, like,
Pope
blowing the lid off the whole thing. He's like, "Hey, so the
yeah,
when I became pope, they said, 'Hey, there's a secret book of all the pope's diaries in
yeah,
the Vatican bank, and
yeah.
Nicolas Cage needs your help to get it so that he can steal the Magna Carta,' or something."
But I think it's interesting, and I'm not saying this is like, oh, the Catholic Church is so corrupt. It's like, well, yeah, that's not good. They shouldn't have done that. But it's more so, I think, to give an insight into how heads of state dealt with one another in the
Mhm.
post World War II era. I think for the throughout all of World War I and World War II, and even before then, kind of in the rise of modernity, even like the Napoleonic age and all of these things, the Vatican went from being like having the papal states and like the Holy Roman Empire and all of these things to kind of being just a nitty bitty
Little tiny
little tiny
yeah.
city state, and and it was just kind of and it was just in the throes of all of this
Mhm.
war and all these crazy technological advancements over the last 150 years. And so obviously there's like a lot of fear and stress about what's like in this new world that's emerging after like the chaos of the last 100 years
Yeah.
with all the technology and all the war and everything. Like what's this going to look like? And I think there were so many decisions that were made out of fear that like then set up the Vatican to be in this position where now there's potentially, not confirmed, potentially the CIA is the reason that Pope Benedict resigned because they wanted to install Pope Francis because he's friendly to certain causes in South America that maybe other popes would not have been friendly to, that the United States needed to blah 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 blah. I haven't read the rest of the book. I assume that's where it's going.
Sure, okay.
Probably something with oil and money and drugs. Probably. And so it just is interesting to read about this uh, because it's like I've read it and now it's like, okay, yeah, I believe that happened, but I don't really like care, you know?
Yeah.
Like I do care. It's bad, but I think it's important for Catholics to know stuff about the church like that, so that when some yahoo online or in person is like, well, did you know about this? You can be like, oh yeah, you know, or like
Okay.
not that you have to know everything, but it's like, oh, I can understand how people in the church would do something like that because I think Catholics are so we're taught so much that the church is so good and pure and holy that anytime someone brings something up, instead of like dialoguing about the thing, we get all oh, what the like we freak out because it's like
Or my new favorite thing is just you
yeah
hear something awful the church did, and you just go, "Based."
yeah well that's some in some situations that's good to
It's
do, but
perfectly fine.
in others
But in others, it's like,
we just
yeah,
need to have like a better level head about the whole thing, you know?
I'm starting to just become like, "No, yeah, that thing was very bad that you did, and you need to, like, you
Yeah.
know,
It
you
has
need
no
to, like."
bearing on, like, the truth of what the church is, and there's all kinds of other stuff about Masonic plots and, uh, th people that have been that work with the Francis papacy and all these things that I'm just like, "Hmm, I don't know." I've got some questions about all that. I think that Francis is the real pope. I think that, there's a lot of people with a lot of lapses in judgment and maybe some people who are nefarious, but, it doesn't take away from the truth of all the things, so, I don't know. We gotta hold
Yeah.
all of it in balance.
Yeah, it's just the world is a broken and sinful place, and people in the halls of power are going to abuse that power, of course,
Yeah.
and, um, it's just gonna happen. And unfortunately, this is the reality because Jesus said that he wanted the church to be universal and all be a blessing to all the nations. And unfortunately, in order to do that, the church needs to be huge.
Yeah.
It's like it's not a friend of mine, good friend of mine was like, the real problem with the church didn't start at the Reformation, it didn't start in the Renaissance. It started way back with Constantine when the church allied with Rome and became a political power. I was like, yeah, that's true. A lot of the problem started then. It was pure when it was just being persecuted. But like that's just not the trajectory of the universal church.
Yeah.
It's going to be an international, powerful institution. It always is going to be. Like
Yeah.
it's just and because of that, people are going to try and get close. And it's not even like it's not the guy at the top. It's not
No,
like the figurehead.
no.
He's not a dupe. He's not a puppet. But he's just power does not work constitutionally. It's not about who has the powers in the Constitution that makes the decisions. It's the guy in the back room who's like been there forever and like knows
Power
everybody.
power is
You
where
know?
agency can be turned into activity, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that's where power is. It's like, it
And so
doesn't
like
matter what
if
it
the
says.
CIA approach, we say the CIA approached Pope Pius XII. Did they approach him? I don't know. Maybe, but
Was
it's like
there a guy working for the American government that got in contact with someone who talked to the Secretary of State, who talked to the Pope and said, "Hey, this is something that we can do." And the Pope was like, "Sounds good to me." The Secretary of State went back to the guy and then with the other guy. It's possible that like at every level there was something shrouded from the person that's next in the level about
sure.
what was going
Because if
on.
there's no oversight of this bank, if you're like the second in command in the Vatican, and the only guy who is going to check your bank records or can do anything about it is the Pope,
Yeah.
you're
And
probably fine.
he's
You can
scared
probably do whatever you want.
he's scared witless about the incoming invasion of the communists and he spends all of his time praying. It's like he's probably not checking the bank records.
Yeah,
So,
he probably in fact delegated that to you. So you
yeah,
got a
if I
lot
was
of.
Pope, I wouldn't do anything with the bank.
You kidding me? That's like the least of my worries.
Yeah, I would first and foremost institute a papal podcast just to make everybody have and it'd be like airport interviews part 2
Mhm.
and it would be even worse.
Eh,
I would actually make it so that we could
yeah,
have a co-papacy and it'd be you and me and we're co-papal and we're up there on the balcony,
yeah.
a Wednesday audience, just doing a podcast.
It's you and me, baby.
What do you think? Tell me what you think about that now.
I think that it's very biblical to have the guy holding the money bag be a skis ball. That's who you're supposed to. You're
Hey,
supposed to pick the shiftiest dude and give him all the money.
we should hire a shifty man.
This is make friends with dishonest wealth. And if you can't, just get a bunch of wealth and give it to a dishonest man. That's what the Bible says.
Yes, so if you're needing to give your money to someone, my Venmo is
Pick
ethan.com.
us. We're very
Pick me.
dishonest. We've been
Very
lying to you this whole
dishonest,
time.
no,
I'm actually Ethan, and
not
he's
very
Ben.
wealthy. Yeah, our
So,
voices are exactly what you thought.
yep.
Speaking of dishonest wealth, let's get into Dr. Ethan's dating corner.
Um, asking someone out the second time you meet, or newlywed needs advice on being a good husband.
Ooh,
Just in time for Valentine's Day, I think. No, it's not.
I'm gonna hit you with the Anton ego. Surprise me.
Okay. This question from Dr. Ethan's Dating Corner, this Dr. Ethan's Dating Corner question comes from Sandweenie. The week before Christmas and all through the house, I met a girl who I wanted to meet.
And she was a
What?
mouse.
And she was a mouse. Oh, weird.
Yeah, started the
Um,
plague.
haha. That was my Mickey Mouse impression.
I can do a good Mickey Mouse impression. Ready?
Yep. I want to.
What was that? What was that?
That's my Barack Obama impression.
Let me be
Yeah.
clear. I am
Let me
not a
be clear.
mouse.
I am not a mouse. I
I do
would
live in a
not, could
house.
not in a train. I would not, could not with a plane. The week before Christmas, I met a girl who I'd wanted to meet for a while based on the recommendation of a friend. We small talked for 5 minutes, very normal. I would like to ask her on a date, and I think there's a good chance I may see her at Mass this week. But after that, due to work schedules, no idea when that next in person meeting would be. If I
Oh,
can talk to her again this week, I'm thinking about asking her if she'd be interested in coffee or drink at the end of the small talk. Alternative is trying to get a mutual friend to set us up. Ladies, thoughts on getting asked on a date the second time you meet a guy? Any bonus points or penalty points for being after Mass? Sandweenie, what do you think, Ethan? What should Dan do?
Sandweenie. Um, I think
Sandweenie.
I think that it's not weird to ask someone out the first time you meet them.
Yeah,
I think you should have pulled the trigger right then and there. Why did he
yeah.
wait? What was the holdup? Let's get in
I
the
mean,
film room.
you're fine. You're fine to ask her out as long as she's not filming herself in a gymnasium. You should be fine. You should be fine. If she's filming in a gym, you should not approach because you will end up on TikTok.
Yeah, I
But
also don't think you wanna date the films myself working out so that I can make TikToks about men looking at me type of girl anyway.
that's fair. That's fair.
There are some of those that are legitimate and weird and creepy, but there are some of them that's like the dude just like I mean, I look around at the people around me often. Like when there's movement, my eyes naturally go over there, you
Yeah.
know? And
hmm
so like she moves and then she zooms in on the guy looking at her. It's like, well, you moved. We're biological creatures
I like
that
when
are
someone comes up to her I like the ones where a guy goes up to a girl and it's like, "Hey, you done using that machine?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, it's fine." And then she like goes to her phone. She's like, "What a creep."
I can't believe that he would do this.
I don't even think they're real. I think they're pretending. I think this
Yeah.
is I think it's so many layers of irony that I think
I
the
don't even
guy's a paid actor and it's actually his TikTok account.
yeah.
And me watching the TikTok is actually the TikTok and I'm doing it for content so that I can make money on the internet.
Yeah, there's a lot of videos out there that people are responding to as if they're real, and it's just like you gotta look through it. Like
You
there's
gotta
one on there that was this girl showing a picture of Dwayne the Rock Johnson's body. And she asked these two girls, like, what would you rate this body on a scale of 1 to 10? One girl said 0. One girl said 4. And so I was like, first of all, no, that's not what anyone says.
wrong.
And then they showed him his head and they're like, what would you rate him? And another girl said 0. And then the other girl said 4. And she was like, do you know who this is? And the girl looks at the other girl. She says, Andrew Tate. And I'm like, that's too funny
That's really
to
funny.
to
Yeah.
like be real. You know, like
Yeah,
that
of
has to
course.
be those are either actors or she edited it to make it look like what it was or
Yes.
was not. But people are like, responding like, I can't believe they would say that about Dwayne the Rock Johnson. Like, how do you not
Mhm.
recognize him? One time I was in Tokyo, and the only person that they recognized from my T-shirt that had all of my favorite characters on it was Dwayne the Rock Johnson. Everybody loves Dwayne the Rock Johnson. I was like, you are. This is fake. Has to be
This is unreal. This is not real. Don't worry about it.
semi-related. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was thinking that actually the best thing to do is to go the opposite direction and assume everything is real on the internet. You'll have so much more fun. You'll have
Ooh.
so much more fun. As long as you don't get mad at things. If you get mad at
No
things,
can
always pretend
do.
they're fake.
No
If you
can do.
don't get mad at things, pretend everything is real. Go, that's so funny that they don't know who Dwayne the Rock Johnson is. That's hilarious. And you move on.
To this guy, Sand Weenie. I think you should ask her out as soon as possible, because the market's hot and you don't know when
Yeah,
she's
interest
she's
rates
gonna
are never
go.
going to be lower.
Yeah, now's the time. And so if you can get her phone number from your friend, I would
Mhm.
just get it and then call her and say, "Hey, I just really think you're cute, and I really enjoyed talking to you the other day, and I would love to take you out on a date. What day works best for you?" And then take her out instead of like this wait. You have the right idea of asking her out, but you got to take it a step further and you got to pursue this woman. This is what Jason Everett was talking about when he says pursue the woman. It's like
Oh my god,
track her
so many
down,
people.
find her house, get in her car, wait in the back seat. It'll be like a scene out of the new Batman film.
You have no idea how
What?
many guys after the Jason Everett talk about pursuing women asked out that girl in their youth group.
Yeah, it was probably good.
It's probably good, but it's so
Yeah,
many guys.
it's just hard though because every youth group only had like one girl. You know, my
Ours had
youth group
so many.
My youth group was a lot of young men.
Really?
Yeah.
Usually Catholic things like that are like 66% women. Like they skew women. In fact,
2/3, huh?
that was the
2/3 on the dot.
two-thirds on the dot. That was that's like kind of like the maxim is like get the guys, the girls will show up.
I just mean more so that there was one girl that everybody wanted to ask out,
Oh, sure.
you know?
Sure. That was true in my elementary school. There
Oh,
was yeah, when I was in 6th grade, there was
what was
one
her
girl that
name?
everyone wanted to ask out. I don't wanna say her
Just say
name.
first name. Give me a first name.
Sure, okay. So,
And then maybe her
her
last
name
name
is
after that.
Rita McCall no, I'm just kidding, that's not it at all.
Riley
Uh,
Sharapa. Oh, no, no, never mind. Just kidding.
I did not go to elementary school with Riley Sharapa.
That would have been crazy.
That would've been awesome.
Can you imagine?
No.
I
I
I
don't know what she
I
was like when she was younger.
I yearn deeply for the day that I have a either business relationship or find out that someone's in the Discord or something that I went to elementary school with. Obviously, I went to elementary school with Andrew Jordan, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is
Um,
really cool.
but
Andrew Jordan is the reason why you have that USB mic that's sitting in that's why we got USB mics
it's
because
because of
Andrew
Andrew
Jordan.
Business Jordan.
Yes, and that I will never, forget that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But okay, so this this is a famous L that turned into a W, okay?
Okay.
Um, I when I was in 6th grade, I liked this girl, and I was like, "Man, she doesn't like me back." And then I just moved on, right? Went to middle school, grew my hair way too long,
Yeah.
crashed a golf cart or something, I don't know. Did a little heroin, like everyone average middle school experience.
Yeah, when you were in Harlem
Yeah.
in 1947.
And, I probably shouldn't make that joke. I went to a never mind. Um, but, like, a couple of months ago, Nick was hanging out with this girl. My little brother was hanging out with this girl that I liked in
The
elementary school.
girl from
The girl from elementary
the one
school.
that everyone wanted to ask out, Nick was hanging out with her?
Yeah, because
That
they, like,
dog, bro. He's got the
He's
dog in him.
he does. And they were talking,
Oh,
and not that kinda talking.
oh,
He was, like, giving her a ride home, right?
oh.
And
What? I'm sorry.
they were, like, talking about me. Like, I came up, and Nick goes, "Oh, yeah, like, this is crazy. He's, like, he's, like, doing a podcast now. He's got, like, a baby. He's married." He listed in that order because it's the most important things:
Uh-huh.
podcast, child, married. And then Nicole goes, "That's crazy. I had a huge crush on him in elementary school."
Oh. It's over
So
for
funny,
guys
right?
named Patrick. Yeah.
I know. But I was like, "Yeah, cool. That was an L turned into a W." And she oh, no, this is what it was. She said, "He rejected me." Which is like I was like, "No, no, that didn't happen, but I'll take it.
I'll take it. Yeah.
I'll take that."
I think that's got to be cope from her because she liked you so hard, and the only way that she could make it happen in her mind was that you rejected her. So she created a fiction that she
No,
was living in.
what's likely that if this is a secondhand conversation, so if it did happen and if she's remembering it correctly, what probably happened was she did something that was like a signal, and I did something stupid because I'm Patrick that like that telegraphed that I didn't like her, which is
She
super likely.
she kissed me on the mouth, and then I proceeded to vomit into her mouth, and for some reason, she thought I was rejecting her. But in
Yeah,
reality,
that was weird.
I just
Women,
wanted to bond with her in a way. I saw something on Twitter today
Dude, I
that
saw a little baby bird receiving food from its mother, and I thought, how romantic.
I thought, "How romantic," but someone said, that this guy said, "One time this girl that I was with really wanted to take me up to a high place, like a mountaintop or a rooftop or something, like,
Yeah,
she had access to the
top the Golden
stairwell.
Gate Bridge or something.
She had access to the stairwell of, like, this place that you could only get to, and she had access to it, she, like, wanted to take him, and he
Mhm.
said no,
Ooh.
because he knew that if he went with this girl to this high up place, that they would have a connection that he would
Mm,
then have to sever, and, which I think is very interesting, like, the connection between going to a high place and, like, looking out at the land below you, and, like, the people you're with during that, you kind of form some type of weird bond, you
yeah.
know?
Mhm.
It's like I think this is just an interesting
Why
so
was forming this bond bad?
I
Was he
don't
dating
think
someone
he
or
well, I don't think he liked her, I don't think he wanted to date her.
Yeah.
I think, this is an interesting sociological study that you can do at home. It's like track, guys and girls who climb onto roofs of buildings together and see how many of them end up dating. I think there's a
Yeah.
correlation there. I think there is something.
I
Uh,
did one time in college go to Pittsburgh with a girl and we went to the top of this, like, cathedral of learning thing that's in Pittsburgh. It's a really
that
cool
sounds like
building.
a Church of Scientology building.
Yeah, it does sound like that, but it's on the Pitt campus, and we went up to the top as far as you can go, like, just public access. We definitely did sneak. So and we got up there and graffitied on the wall was, "This is a great makeout spot." And I was like, "Oh, I'm doing something wrong." I was like, "I shouldn't be here." I was like, "This is not."
This is not good.
We read that and all of a sudden the
The vibe
tension changed,
switch.
the vibe changed. It was like, "Oh, this
Yeah,
is weird. We gotta go."
this is
It
weird.
was kinda
Someone kiss me
cool.
right now. Someone has to kiss me.
I'll kiss the wall if I have
It's
to.
like what a crazy
Um,
thing to like name the activity you do in that room on the wall of the
yeah, it was
room.
weird. It
It's
was
like you're
weird.
in the
Also,
dining room.
it
Like this
kinda
is a great
wasn't
place to eat.
It also kinda wasn't because it was, like, looking over the back way of Pittsburgh, so, like, if you're in Oakland, to the west of you is, like, the really pretty bridges and the river and the mount and, like, the hills and all that,
Yeah.
and then to the back of you is, like, just, like, suburban, urban, not great area,
Trash
and
city
that's what
town.
it was looking and, like, an old river, like, with barges and stuff, like, that's what it looked like that way, and so it was
Hey,
like, this really isn't that, I think it's just that because you're, in college and you're living in a dorm. I think that's what it is. It's
you
like,
know
this is
how
the
I'm
only place that
feeling.
you've found privacy,
You know
you
how
know?
I'm feeling when a barge goes by. You know what I'm saying?
You know?
I love it when that tugboat hit. You know what I'm saying?
Aw, it really gets me. It really gets the
It's the brown note. All right. I think that's it for our podcast today.
yeah, brown note makes it go so fast. Yeah,
Yeah,
rope burn.
we've done a lot of good here, I
Yeah,
think,
we've changed the landscape of podcasting.
for
I can say
good.
that much. Yeah, honestly, it's over
You
for the
can,
rest
if
of
you
the year.
like the community that we have built through this
Mhm.
podcast,
You can join it by
you
going
can
to
join it. You can go to bit.ly/Crunch Discord. The link is in the description. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, the Crunch Catholic Podcast, on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment below,
oh,
smash that bell button,
hit it.
like and subscribe. Come on,
Yeah.
man. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Uh,
put in the comments below what controversy you think I should do,
put in the
and then
comments
the
below.
most liked one, I'll do it.
Put in the comments below the number of times that you've made out on a barge. The question that you answer indicates which host you like the
The
best.
amount of the amount of likes this video gets is how many times our listeners of the Crunch Catholic Podcast have made out on a barge. So hit that like button.
Yeah, like the video if you want to force Ben Eastman to go on a barge and kiss his wife.
Very sweetly and
Yes,
tenderly.
yeah, yeah, not in a weird,
No,
creepy.
not weird. Like
We're not doing.
we
We're not motivating anyone to do skeevy activities.
no.
I'm not into that. But you're gonna go to bit.ly/Crunch Discord. You're gonna go to the Crunch Catholic Podcast. You're gonna subscribe. If you want to support us, this is the last thing I'll say. Patreon.com/the Crunch. At the $10 a month
Yes.
level, you get an extra hour of this every week,
Every week,
and
baby.
you don't want to miss. And we need your support.
Because that's where we get a little unhinged. That's where we talk about things that we
You think I'm
don't talk
unhinged
about.
now? The bonus podcast is called The Ethan Effect, and it's just
It's just me saying, "Can somebody please hear my confession?" or something. I don't know.
we're
Like,
doing swears. It's gonna be awesome. So
we
check it
say we
out.
say we say we say butt.
We
We
have
say we
20.
say ass, but we're not talking about Mexican mules.
We have almost a day's worth of bonus content.
Is that
So
true?
yeah, we have 21
20.
bonus episodes. So
Yeah,
keep
wow.
it coming. Patrick, do you have anything else for the people?
If anyone would like to name a disease after me, make sure that it is one that gives you drop dead gorgeous good looks, because that's the only one that would make sense.
Thank you all for listening. Please pray for us. We'll be praying for you, and we'll see you all next week.
Like Hydra. 2 knuckles deep, baby.